oh, this integration between PowerPoint and Team or Zoom. I was going to say if it was Teams, then of course it would come in perfect, right? Because of Microsoft. No. Let's see, who do we have on? It would be good, just as a request, and you'll see in the agenda that we came up with, Peter and Natalie, about how we want to do this. This is truly, I think, a very valuable roundtable discussion versus present and then Q&A at the end. As you can see, that we won't be doing a presentation because this is a discussion, and it is a thought discussion that we'd like to get everybody's input for it. So if you want to, it's not a push, but turn on your video camera so we can actually see you. That I would like that. But also, probably the best, I don't know how big this will be, and people can jump in on that, but maybe raise your hands with thoughts, questions throughout as we facilitate, excuse me, this discussion. Also, not the great timing to have implant surgery yesterday and chatting today. So bear with me on that. So in preparation for this panel, we had a really good discussion, and so I think I think everybody knows this, but just in case, we'll just do a quick round of who's talking here in the sense of leading the roundtable discussion. So I'm Dave Dexter, I'm the director of CERT, situated in Toronto. I'm one of the media entertainment screen industry TACs. For it, CERT's been around for 10.5 years, and I've been working at CERT for the last 7 and a bit years, and we are, I'll just say this one point, we are massively busy, and we're trying to determine how do we grow to meet industry demands, mainly because finally recognize tech is important to the screen industries, to the film and television, et cetera. So that we've come into our own, and the industry also has come into that realization from a mass perspective. Peter, say hello.
Thanks, Dave. So I'm Peter Laffin. I was up until very recently the director of the Center for Sensors and System Integration at NAIT, which is the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology. That mouthful was replaced recently. I'm now the lead for safety, space, and equipment for all of the research centers at NAIT. So kind of moved into the overall leadership side of things instead of being directly in charge of the TAC. My background, I'm a geologist and have spent 20 years in industry doing instrumentation, remote sensing, and some data work. Lots of fun there, and joined CSSI about 5 years ago now, not quite 5. Looking forward to the discussion today, and over to you, Nathalie.
Hi, everybody. You all know me, I guess. I'm the Director of Research Innovation at Collège La Cité in Ottawa. We have a Technology Access Center in Bioinnovation since 2015. And David, were we thinking of having participants introduce themselves?
Yeah, I think if we can do that quickly. The one caveat I'll also say is I don't speak French, so if anybody needs a translation for what I say or move it to French versus English, just raise your hand and Natalie can translate.
Yes.
But we just want to make sure that we have equal participation and understanding by everybody. So why don't I'll just go from what's on my menu quickly. Francois, just say a quick hi.
Good afternoon. My name is Francois Drouin. I am the managing director of Transbiotech for 6 months in a week. Okay. So,
welcome. Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan. I manage the Integrated Agriculture Technology Center at Lethbridge College. I'm the Associate Dean in our Center for Applied Research.
And David, I think a few folks know you, but just say a quick hi.
Bonjour, David Berthiaume, directeur général de
Hello,
Kenitech,
David
Centre de
Berthiaume.
recherche
I
associé au Cégep de Thetford.
with Cégep of Thetford,
Merci.
and I work with
Ms.
green
Carissa.
chemistry. Hello, everybody. I'm Sonia Klikaslam, and
Merci.
I work with Tech Access Canada. So,
Might be on mute, Yannick. Okay, we can, oh, he's an interpreter. Thank you. Michelle?
hello, Michelle.
I'm a researcher at the College of La Cité in Ottawa, at the Technology Access Center in Bioinnovation. I work under Natalie in one of her groups. Yes, I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
Okay, Terry?
Terry Peckham, the Director and Research Chair for the Digital Integration Center of Excellence out in sunny Saskatchewan.
It's nice. I'm actually talking to a Saskatchewan institution out there, so I'll reach out to talk to you about who they are on that. This comes down to now initials, and I apologize. Whoever has just their name with the initials, then say hi.
Well, we've got Andrea, and then we've got SC Levo, or
SC
however
Levo.
whoever that is.
Hi, I'm Andrea Sedgwick. I'm the TAC manager for the Center for Oil Sands Sustainability.
Great, thank you. And SC Levo?
I think is S Clavo.
Levo, sorry.
Possible.
I was just reminded of a Key and Peele comedy routine about names in classes. Okay, so very interesting topic. So one of the first things that we asked ourselves, Natalie and Peter and myself, as we talked about it, is why now? Why does it matter to have inter-TAC workings and relationships? I think a lot of that question was accelerated by the recent ARTP, because I think everybody will probably raise their hand that they submitted an option 2. And also were they asked to participate in an option 2. And so that matchmaking happened, but why now and why does it matter? And maybe Peter, you can talk from your perspective. How do you answer that question?
Yeah, I think overall, what I'm seeing on a trend is that that Ottawa is hoping that all of the research centers, not just the TACs, but everybody will have more collaboration, and within the college sector, you know, so that side of the house, not the university side, you know, they're really strongly encouraging that. And I don't know exactly what's behind it, but it's not just NSERC, it's NSERC and IRAP, and everybody seems to have that same push. So whatever's behind it, the directive is at least consistent. So I'm kind of happy to see that. It makes it easier to seek out and then you know, collaborate based on the needs of the industry partner and the funding group.
Yeah, I can. When I talk about one of my examples is definitely NRCI wrap is this overall cross Canada focus that was very evident in the latest CTO that we structured for the next 3 years for it. Natalie, some thoughts around that?
Yes, as we're all still building capacity. We need to collaborate to be more efficient, more powerful. We're still not known across Canada as an important part of the research ecosystem. So I think we need to work together. I don't think we'll ever be like universities, like doing our own independent research. You know, I think it's very logical to share expertise, to share equipment, and to just work together and have a collaborative approach to things. So why now? Because if we want to survive in the long run, I think we need to help each other, and it matters. Of course, it does matter.
Do you think, Natalie, the cost of hiring and the cost of talent within a TAC, and being able to, and with the industry asking us for specific talent that we may only have 3/4 of it, that we reach out to other TACs.
Yes, of course, that's going to be tough for everybody to have the right people for our projects. So if we can help each other, yes, it could be a solution.
Cool. Anybody comments, please jump in from the whole team here. If any thoughts or ideas on why does it matter? I know from a CERT perspective, we're trying to understand what does it mean, artificial intelligence, and what does it mean to our industry and what is being requested. It's something that we've not avoided, but we delayed, but we also recognize that we won a CFI grant. So we were actually able to develop what I call the build it and they will come, Field of Dreams. But we're setting up a network. We also realized that there actually existed some AI and machine learning folks inside of Sheridan. And I think by us winning the CFI, I now have a resource personnel challenge, and turning to other research centers to help with that and help specialize it is a critical step for us to meet some industry demand and industry projects for that, for it. I got a few hands, which is great. Let's start with Terry.
Sure. My area, I guess, goes right along with Dave there. I am into machine learning, artificial intelligence, data manipulation, security, the whole 9 yards. I have clients ranging from Quebec all the way through to Vancouver, which is fantastic for me. And they're all in different areas, which is not fantastic for me. And why I think, from my perspective, collaboration is required. There are things I'm learning about in lots of areas that I know absolutely nothing about. Dave, I think we're working with one of the same clients. I've got a guy in video games. Don't get me wrong, I like to play the video games, but I've never programmed for one of them before.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I can see where there can be some benefits from there. And I'm guessing throughout this group, there's probably a bunch of you I should be talking with in terms of different things that you guys bring to the table that, again, I'm not necessarily aware of, but I know I need some help with the various types of expertise. So I do see collaboration growing. I see us growing as a group as we do more of this, because I don't see this happening in the university sector. And so I think it's one of those times where we might be able to shake things up. It'll take a little while, but yeah. Anyways, I'll shut up now and let other people add some comments.
Yeah, that was good, Terry, because part of our discussion too is you know, what is the directory of research leads at all the TAC and what are their expertise? So we're quick to say, hey, Terry's got somebody that I can drop in very quickly under a federal grant, because I don't know, you know, some of the Ontario provincial specific restrictions of involving TACs from different provinces, and to learn a little bit more about that. But definitely, I'd love to pick and choose researchers just because they're part of a TAC. They kind of get it, and also it's a lower cost on finding that knowledge worker. Francois?
Why does it matter? And now, actually, I already visited a few TACs in the last months, and one thing that I was surprised of is that we already serve the same customers. So, for example, because we are in biotech, and there are a few TACs in biotech as well, and so when we speak about specific clients, we just come to the conclusion that we serve the same customers, but we just don't know we are serving those same customers. So we are, each of one are in different silos, and if we knew that we were already working with the same customers, we might serve them better just by discussing at 3 or 4 instead of one-on-one on each side. And actually the CCTTs are supposed to be the spearheads of innovation for SMEs. So this means that we have to be on the edge of everything. And if we want to go on the edge of the next technologies, etc., we need to mix sciences. So we all have our different expertise. But let's say, why can't we mix electronics and biotech to be at the edge of those sciences and those technologies, so that we can probably better serve novel customers that are really trying to merge those expertise.
And then actually when we lead into the next why haven't we conversation is definitely to understand the barriers to execute that, and also going after research dollars, right? And so I don't know if that becomes a big role or playing in that, and it goes also. The last one is, what do we need to change in order to enable that, right? David?
Yeah, and maybe another very short comment, but it's pretty so self-serving. But if we have friends everywhere in Canada, so if we have a customer that is close by, another one of our friends, they can relate or refer people to us when our expertise is needed everywhere in Canada. Everywhere someone should know, okay, there's a TAC in green chemistry, and that makes sense to my partner that I have in my locality or my region, and I will refer them to Chemitech in Quebec, which is very far, and they don't speak the same language or whatever. And at least because we have this link, we have this partnership, we have this knowledge of each other. So that's another reason why it matters.
Just as you're saying that, is so do we need our own jump ball to put out okay, I'm working on this project and I need this expertise, who can provide it for that? I mean, I always had a long discussion with Cetrin, and okay, we got to collaborate together. And it's just, we haven't yet, except this last ARTP with an engagement with them. So it is a specific challenge of collaboration. Peter?
Yeah, just quickly, David, I'll continue to take notes throughout the conversation here so that you can focus on the on the thing, on actually leading the panel. So yeah, great so far.
Okay, great. So why haven't we? I think everybody's here to sort of figure out that question, right? Because I think, are there too many barriers to really enable collaboration? And this also leads into what needs to change for it. And so is it funding? Is it execution? Is it just another thing to build into a research grant or a submission in that? Love to hear folks' thoughts around why haven't we already engaged. So Terry, I think you had your hand first, and then David, and then Andrea.
It seems that there's a few of us that are monopolizing the conversation. It's a terrible thought. So what I do collaborate already. My problem is actually I collaborate with universities. And it's not because I have the expertise. I'm collaborating with universities because I don't have the expertise.
Right.
So I think your idea of a jump ball for projects where you're looking for some internal stuff within the TACs is actually kind of a neat idea, because I often have projects where I am looking for some help. I usually engage a lot of the different engineering programs here in Saskatchewan, whether that's the mining, well, apparently there's a mining center that's a TAC. I should be integrating them, not well, I guess I could do the universities, but do you understand what I'm saying? So there's that one. And then of course, there is that funding aspect. And I have to admit, one of the reasons that is nice about the university is I can usually get the project funded under the university model and under the college model. So that is a benefit. I don't know if that works as well if two TACs are trying to collaborate together under the same small pot of funds. So I guess that would be something interesting in terms of where do we go with that?
So a question for you, Terry, and it's to everybody too, is in your strategic planning of what you're going to do for the year, do you recognize where your talent deficiency is with potential projects that could come on your plate? And then, so in other words, instead of waiting for the project, it could be, okay, yeah, I've got deficiencies, or I need expertise here, or I just need more manpower to execute a project, and do that at the beginning of the year to, just continue to form those relationships with tax. Okay, let's go to David, and then Andrea, Michelle, and Peter.
Oh no, I'm leaving my spot to others that haven't
Okay.
spoke yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
Andrea.
I don't know about everybody else, but I find that I don't necessarily know what everyone does, and even in the chat, Peter brought up, hey, Nate has a whole group that does digital stuff, and things, and I think that's, most of us, I don't know about the rest of you, but I don't necessarily always take the time to go through every TAC and read what everybody's specialties are when I'm thinking of projects and stuff. So I'm thinking of the people around me. I'm thinking of the ones maybe in Alberta, Saskatchewan, sometimes getting into BC. But there's so much more. And I think that's one of the things that I think we just have to get better at letting people know what all we do and what are the capabilities. Because I think even the centers that are even within our colleges that aren't TACs, we can bring them in under our TACs as specialty experts and stuff like that, and really make connections, even in places like that aren't, oil sands, and things like that. And Ken has been awesome at expanding my vision in that realms too. So, yeah.
Well, and it brings up also a good point of localization to where you focus to get collaboration, right? And how important is that towards the industry partner of the project? And hopefully with COVID and the movements, especially in Toronto, the movement to outskirts of Toronto, and that I think industry partners are starting to realize that this is a collective that will span outside of their drivable area, if I say it that way, for it. Michelle?
Perfect, thanks. So yeah, this is kind of touching on the why haven't we question that was asked. And so one of the, I agree with what Andrea had said about, I'm not aware of what other TACs are doing. I mean, there's websites we can go to, but I mean, that's not always what I do, and probably I should be encouraged to do so. I don't know if they're updated, that sort of thing. But the other thing, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the grants that we apply to, do they encourage colleges to go in together? Like the Engage that was recently canceled. I mean, Pratt was the one, that really encouraged that. But from the other grants that we apply to, like the fund we have, I'm not sure if, it's encouraged to collaborate with colleges. And that might be one of the things that are deterring us from doing so.
I 100% agree with that. And I've had an interesting discussion internal within Sheridan, because one of the big faculties only have co-ops in the summertime, and it really screws us up. And can I go outside of Sheridan to get students? And that actually can be a big factor. We're allowed to under federal and provincial funding to go to other colleges to fill in the student need. I'm thus also very restricted in its of not pushing hard enough on Sheridan to say yes, because of image, because of all that fun stuff. So I agree with you from a funding perspective, but I also think the writing's on the wall a little bit to help guide and us be prepared to say, to get this funding like Pratt or some of the IRAP stuff, that we need to engage with other research centers, be it universities, TACs, or within colleges. Peter, and then Natalie, and then we're going to continue on with some of the agenda, just to talk about some of our experience. So, and Debbie, sorry, Peter.
I'll be quick then. A couple of things that I think are important, and exactly in the way that Terry mentioned something, and a couple of us jumped in and said, "Oh, hey, we might be able to work on this." you know, without in-person events, without the coffee breaks, without, I mean, this is good, but only Terry got to do that. You know, every one of you probably has something that that they could throw out there, and so it's hard to do that networking virtually. And I know Teams is awesome, and so is Zoom and all that, but it's not as awesome as you know, having a cup of coffee with someone, or you know, whatever else you want to drink. Another thing that I wanted to mention, and I think it's important, when we're describing our own expertise, and this is something that I've been very conscious of the whole time I've been at the center, is that we tend to parrot back NSERC's language and NSERC's metrics. And so I bet you every one of us could start our description of our TAC by saying that we create prototypes. And when you're really just very superficial like that, I would have no idea what you actually do, you know, because you're just using kind of the generic NSERC language. And so I think it's really important that we get beyond that shallow language that really just parrots back NSERC's language, and we get to the meat of, you know, here's who we are, here's what our research expertise really is, and not being afraid of that, and just you know, putting it out there and seeing who could actually take advantage, because it's not always obvious from the name of the center or from the description that we put on the website or whatnot.
Cool, David.
Very quickly, those things take time, so we really need time to learn to speak to each other, and we're doing that, and I think it's going great, but it takes time. And for Synchronex, for example, in Quebec, it took 30 years before we saw really good collaborations between centers. So we're doing great. By the way, TACs are really faster than that. So also there's the fact that we together meeting here are kind of leaders of TACs. We're not actually, well, maybe some are, but we're not experts that actually develop projects and deliver projects and do research themselves, or well, some of you, okay. But myself, it's been a while, and having actual experts in the same meeting developing links between themselves is also something that was really very useful in developing collaboration between CCTTs in Quebec. So that's definitely something we need to do eventually, shorter term than later term, because that's really where it started skyrocketing. Because when you actually put researchers together, the mix really happens, the chemistry happens. There's really so that's something maybe we need to do earlier than later.
Yeah, well, let's maybe offline on this as a to-do is figure out the best way to do that. I always find sometimes you need to push researchers just a little bit to start talking. I mean, when we looked at Durham, that I did a lot of pushing at the beginning so I can sit back, and it was kind of this dating, you know, who's going to talk first, and then get into breath. And once they get going, right? And be able to facilitate that. Natalie?
Yes, I wanted to say we used to have at the best practice meetings presentations from different TACs of their expertises. So I guess we should bring that back, either videos or, you know, whatever format. We need to keep learning about the other centers. And to answer the question, why haven't we? I think it's because we're surviving. It's a question of us surviving in our own environment. As David said, we need time. I don't think it's lack of interest. It's just a lack of time and funding mechanisms. And in a year from now with the ARTP, I guess we'll have a lot more to say.
Do you think the writing's on the wall, definitely, with the agencies and supporting this, that it's coming?
Say that again?
Do you think the writing's on the wall with all the agencies that this is coming? I mean, the PAT was the first one, but you know that it's coming.
It's a very good initiative. I find I like the fact that they wanted 3 colleges or more. So yeah. It's a group of people. So I think it's very positive. But again, we'll see in reality how it works. But I'm enthusiastic about it.
Okay, great. Good. Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm looking at time and all that fun stuff. I see your hands, Peter and Terry. Is it helpful that we just talk a little bit about some of the experiences that we have? For myself, Peter and Natalie, and then get into what are the success criteria that we should come out of this, or expand the discussion to develop what is critical for success in that, and what do we need to implement. Okay, I see some nodding of the heads. Okay, so I'll just jump in very quickly. We were, I'll say it this way, we were pushed by IRAP to work with Durham College. Plain and simple. You want the CTO, you got to work with, and Durham College came about because they have an AI hub and a mixed reality center. And yeah, they're down the road, but we have actually never visited them yet. We're planning on it, but IRAP made that relationship, and Sheridan is managing the CTO. So overhead
Sorry,
is.
David, can you explain the CTO? Because a lot of people have no idea what that is.
Okay, cool. So contribution to organization. It's kind of like what Tech Access has with the interactive visit. Is individually with colleges in our research center. We get a certain amount of monies to focus on smaller engagements with SMEs in across Canada. So right now our CTO is a $2,500 cash contribution by the partner. We'll open up $15,000 of funding. So a 17.5 engagement that it has to be an IRAP industry recognized partner. So they have to register it. And it is only for salaries, and even worse, and I hate to say this, it is only for basic salaries, so not fringe. Administration, it can be very painful, but also we leverage the cash contribution by the partner to cover the cost of fringe for our research lead. And I say that specifically because fringe is increasing in our college. So that means that it doesn't come out of our revenue bucket to cover the work we're doing for an IRAP. We want it to come out of the partners' cash contribution, to which IRAP doesn't really look at for it. So, and then on top of the contribution, right, overhead does go to the college. And I believe it's significant. I think it's around 30%. So it is high for that. Is a CTO contribution to organization the greatest thing since sliced bread? Not really. And we're just determining how to continue to morph it such that it is a break-even engagement for us, which I mean that I just cover the salaries of my research leads on it, but it's also very important stepping stool to the next bigger engagement for it. Does that make sense? So with Durham College, we are managing and we are sharing the money, divided right down the middle, so that they can run with it and we can run with it, and we're not tripping up with each other. We have targeted to work with joint accounts, either in parallel or sequential. So we have one that taps into the capabilities of Durham more than us. We are a bigger research center than them, but so we just got another 200K top up. 100K goes to Durham, 100K goes to us. We do have some challenges. We had a challenge last year that Durham didn't use all their money. So we scrambled to see if we could spend it. We couldn't. So then we scrambled to ask IRAP to carry over the money. So that was a learning lesson for us to check in a little bit more frequently and to make sure, like everybody knows, spend that grant money. And that was a recognized challenge, that because that we want to ensure that they can spend the money in the right time, hopefully, a month or half a month beforehand. But unfortunately with our IRAP CTO, we go right up to the line of spending. So that was a lesson learned on that. But what it has is we've been successful. We're looking at other centers to come on board for the CTO for April across Canada. So it really has set us up effectively. And then it also has set us up to leverage some of the talent at Durham that we don't have at CERT and at Sheridan. Peter, you want to talk about?
Yeah, I sure do. So I got a very quick one. I'm actually going to tell you less about the project and more about the collaboration. So recently, CSSI was involved along with one of the other research centers at NATE, plus the University of Calgary, and an energy company in Alberta. We're doing a 3-year project on remediation of contaminated sites. The reason I bring it up is because instead of another TAC or even another college partner, we do have a university partner. And the strength of the collaboration really is kind of the overlap between the two skill sets is minimal. The researcher at the university and his team, they're doing the modeling and real bench scale validation of particular technologies and techniques. And then at NATE, we're providing some of the the lab scale and then field testing. And so there's a good progression between the two. Whereas if we were trying to go with another TAC, I think kind of the level at which we're doing the applied research would mean that it would be more or less complementary and kind of more overlapped. So collaborating with the university is sometimes going to be easier. The other thing that was important is that both our lead researcher at NATE and the client were very familiar with the other researchers at UOC already. And so it was very natural for them to try to collaborate together and find that opportunity. And again, it comes back to how well we know each other and how well we trust each other and how well we understand, what our individual expertise are. Some of these researchers have been around a long time and they know everybody in the ecosystem. And so you know who to choose, and you don't really care if it's another TAC or another college or another university. You pick the right research team. So that's good. We used an NSERC Innovation Link grant, which was very nice because it gave money to the university and money to the college, and there was more money to be accessed that way than if it was just a college-run program. And so the point I want to make there is that there isn't a complementary type of a program where you get more money for 2 colleges. Right now, you can get the same small amount of money for 2 or 3 colleges, which doesn't really help, nearly as much. And the kind of entrepreneurial spirit that we have at the TACs especially means that we're going to try to do it ourselves, A, to conserve the dollars at our institution, but B, also, just because it's easier and less overhead and admin burden than trying to share money and all of that. So this was a good project. It's still in progress. Hope to get some good results very soon here, but yeah, it just kind of the grant program availability, and then also just the way that these collaborations are formed, through the research ecosystem, I think are kind of 2 reasons why it worked out the way they did, and those are potential barriers for kind of forced marriage of like you have to do things with other colleges or other TACs, because that's not always the easiest thing. And we'll see how the ARTPs go. Some of them I think we're going to be great. Some of them will understand a little bit more about each other and a little bit more about some of the colleges that are new partners that we've never worked with, and going, wow, you guys are on a different page than we're on, better or worse. It's depends. So I'll be quiet there and let someone else finish off.
Okay, just one quick question to you, Peter. Did you have to sell your college on the idea of collaborating outside your college?
No. In a word, NATE is very good, and in part because we have a very strong support team in what we used to call the Office of Research and Innovation. Our current leadership now is very pro collaboration, and they run interference for us on the rest of NATE. So that's not always been the case, I don't think. In some years past, we've had different leadership with different attitude, but right now we're all systems go on it.
Great, thanks, Peter. Natalie, do you want to talk a little bit about your collaboration?
Actually, we collaborate with a lot of colleges, but it's more informal and it's exchange of services. It's not necessarily formal applied research projects, except for one college in Quebec that has expertise in agriculture, and we share the ARD. So they got the funding, and it's possible through either Engage or ARDs to transfer 20% of the grant to a third party. So we got some of their funds. So as I said, we talk a lot with people, we exchange services, we work with Loyalist College in the cannabis area. Actually, I'm having a meeting with your colleague on Monday, David, to talk about something else, you know. So it's just that I think the funding part will really help to formalize the collaborations. It's a push, you know, it's pushing us on that direction. So it's a good push, you know, it's a really a good help. So yeah, I think this will help a lot.
So what do you think, like, one or two things was critical for these collaborations? Was it a lot of one-on-one meetings in that, or was it helping define the services that you're looking for? What helped with those relationships to move them forward, to engage?
Well, knowing each other. So we met during the best practice meetings, and during over a coffee, we had a discussion, and, you know, we're working on this, and, oh, you have expertise in agriculture. We missed that, actually. So so that's just simply as it is, you know, you just talk to people. And so we need to come back to in-person meetings and talk to each other and drink coffee, or, as Peter said, something else. But it's you know, it's a relationship between individuals and people. And it's true, we have websites, we have like, we have tools, but in the end, it's me collaborating with you, David, as a person, you know.
Yeah.
And for that to happen, we need a connection. And yes.
Yeah, and definitely not my sister. Do you think we should be doing more travel? And this is actually to everybody. Do you think we should? I mean, I'm not traveling, but do you think we should increase our travel budget so that, or present it that way to the powers to be for approval, to go to TACs and go visit, knowing that that will rapidly develop the relationship and the engagement? Okay, we got some hands. The last part here, key assessment criteria, we're kind of mixing that in for the discussion. So I say we just have a nice free for all here of thoughts and ideas and all that fun stuff. So Andrea?
You know, one of the things that helped me in the past, and it's not actually with another TAC, but with another college, well, with SAIT, is just having recurring meetings, just to talk. Sometimes we just talk about things that we, you know, that we have the similar problems, you know, as polytechniques in applied research and stuff, and just having and forcing ourselves to have those meetings, not forget to not get too busy, and just have time to talk about stuff. And it really helps build the relationship, and it helps us answer some questions. Like sometimes I'm like, are you guys doing that? Because we're doing that. And they're like, oh yeah, we are too. and you know, you just feel like you're not so alone anymore, right? So, and I'm not too sure how to do that with so many, you know, there's a lot of TACs, but I mean, you know, having some sort of forum to be able to just kind of chat and be able to do that. And, you know, I would love to travel again. I am a traveler. I love to travel. So I would love to visit across Canada when we can. So I totally think, you know, going on these tours, maybe tours would be a great opportunity of hey, let's all get together and go somewhere, you know, and whether we do it by, you know, like grouping, like prairies or whatever, and just, you know, visit a different place every year. I don't know, but I think that'd be a really great way to learn more about each other.
Well, I think, and thanks, David, about the jump ball 2.0 by Ken earlier today, is creating these, you know, coffee breaks kind of thing of, hey, here's what I want to talk about. Who wants to join in? Because the other thing too is, you know, I think everybody being successful with TAC and that is taking that time out to have those discussions, I think is critical, and being less isolated. Definitely 100% agree. Peter? You had your hand up. I don't know why.
Maybe my final thought is I would encourage people to make a couple of friends and talk to them. You know, and it just makes sense. But maximum 6 people. You know, don't try to host something with 20 people. As you guys saw today, like even in an hour, there wasn't enough time for everybody to talk. And I know there were more people that had great things to say, and they just were quiet. And so, you know, think about a restaurant. If you have 8 people, then you have 2 conversations. If you have 6, that's the biggest you're going to get for one conversation and get meaningful participation. So, yeah, you know, make a small group and stick with it. And like Andrea said, have recurring meetings set up once a month or every couple of months of like-minded people. And it'll also give you some people to have a coffee with when you get back to the in-person best practices. Okay, that's it for me.
I know we're hitting the 4:15 in the matchmaking sessions, but any other folks have final thoughts here of what they like to express?
Sure. I defer my hand. So I'll put it up because
Sure.
there. I got lucky enough to be part of a IRAP, National IRAP presentation, where Ken brought us in a certain area just to talk about our areas. Because I'm a geek, it was digital kind of computer, so I talked to the computer ITAs across Canada. But from that perspective, I think there was only 2 or 3. I think I was the only person present. The other TACs just put a PowerPoint set slide forward. But that was one of those interesting things where you kind of saw real quickly what they do. And so that was interesting from my perspective. So I think the comment down here is we should have organized in-person conferences on areas of expertise. Those are huge. I think there also needs to be some general. It's like I said, I'm a computer geek, and we need to hit other areas. So.
Yeah, and I think with that too is as you know, the thought process here is I want to do matchmaking of research leads. I don't want to talk anymore, but you know, I definitely do want to say, hey, you know, Mike, one of our leads, to say you should be talking, or just say hello to this person and facilitate that in this TAC. And then I think that might be a cool thing for me to try to see if that creates a tighter engagement. Because that's what we saw out of Durham. Once I got them talking, they started talking, it actually elevated the discussion. So give them the carte blanche to call them up or create a Slack channel or whatever, right? To pose questions in that. Okay, other thoughts from everybody? All right, if not, let's continue the conversation. The other session is up and going. So thank you everybody for the thoughts here and the participation. Thank you, Peter and Natalie. It's an ongoing discussion. The roundtable never ends here, but definitely let's leverage all our knowledge and experience to actually make this synergistic effort that we're trying to do here.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.